Good evening. Hey, you're on AgentPrep to continue learning more about national real estate questions for any state in the United States for your Texas real estate license. This is the book that we are using for today, Texas Real Estate License Exam Prep. And on this video, we're going to continue on with our real estate questions that we left off. Okay, we left off on, and so we're starting on question test 3, number 21 on page 147 in this book. And unfortunately, I cannot share this book with you because of the copyright. So stay tuned and get ready for 30 to 45 minutes of national questions. Hi, Neelam. Thanks for joining. Awesome. So you shared your name. You gave Facebook permission to post on StreamYard. Okay, so this will be about a 30 to 45 minute class and going over national questions that apply to anybody in any state that's taking their real estate exam. And I'll also explain the answers. I'll ask you to participate and post the question number and the answer as we go on. Oh, awesome. That's great. Yeah, I know. It took me a little time to figure it out too, Neelam. So don't feel bad, okay? And they say it's straightforward, but sometimes, giving Facebook permission to post your name on StreamYard is not as straightforward as they say it is. So anyway, so let's get started and prepared to pay attention to the questions and ask at any time. Post either here on Facebook, on YouTube, and I will reply to any of your questions. Okay, so this is Lillie Hendy with AgentPrep on YouTube and on Facebook, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, and here to help you understand the national questions that you're going to be asked in your state exam. Okay, so whatever state you're in, we all have the same national questions. All right. So let's go to the questions. So we're starting out with question 321. So it's test 321. Oh, so I just wanted to say one of the reasons I like this book, okay, it's because it has, review for every chapter that you studied on your courses. Every state has a different amount of hours that you study. Here in Texas, we have to take 180 hours. And so it has real estate math. It also has exams for Texas law and regulations, all the different sections in there. One of the weakest areas for a lot of people is agency, brokerages, and contracts. So I recommend that you focus on that. And of course, a lot on vocabulary. And then it has tests for national practice exams. Okay, it has like 10 of them. And it has Texas state level exams. So this applies for those of you that are in Texas. And then it has a complete Texas license examination sample, plus all the answers. This particular book does not offer vocabulary like one of the other sources that I use. Okay, with that said, let's get started with questions. So reminder, post the question answer 3.21 or the question, and then the answer A, B, or C, and D. And I try to, put it all on one page if possible. So you'll see me switching back and forth to accommodate for those of you that are on your phone or on your computer. Okay, number 321. A legal description of a property is one which, so the legal description, how court records, surveyors, title companies, how everyone identifies the actual property. It's not by the address number of the property, but by a legal description. So what is an example of one? A, accurately identifies the boundaries of the property as distinct from all other properties. B, it accurately describes the location and dimensions, the lot, and improvements on the property. C, is accepted by a licensed surveyor as suitable for inclusion in a survey of the property. Or D, it is written by an attorney licensed to practice real estate law in the state in which the property is located. So again, the question, a legal description of a property is one which does what? So I'll give you time to answer. So Neelam answered B. Okay, it says accurately describes the location and dimensions, the lot and improvements on the property. I would reconsider that. So take another chance because B is not accurate. Well, I was trying to get them all on one page. There we go. So somebody else who wants to take a chance, this is the time to select your answer so that I can help you out. A, maybe? Yes, who is the Facebook user? Let me see who's on Facebook. I got to look at another screen. To see who replied to that. And you're going to hear a sound until I hit the mute. On Facebook. So bear with me. I got to look at another screen. So that was Susie. Okay, so Susie Q. Oh, that's cute. I like that. Suzanne. Yes, the answer is A. A legal description of a property is one which A, accurately identifies the boundaries of the property as distinct from all other properties. So a surveyor identifies the location of the property by the lot, the block, the degrees of wherever it might be. And that's how the title company, the courthouse identifies that particular property because the address could be inaccurate. So it accurately identifies the boundaries of the property as distinct from all other properties. So it doesn't give you the dimensions of the lot nor the improvements on the property. That's what a survey does. And a surveyor goes by the property description. Okay, but it's not necessarily as suitable for inclusion in a survey of the property, no. And it's not necessarily written by an attorney, okay? So 321 is A. Very good. Posting it in I'm posting it on the Facebook group. And let me check on YouTube so that I can see that I'm actually seeing whoever responds on YouTube. All right, number 22. The essential elements of the meets and bounds system are A, parallels, baselines, and meridians. B, boundaries, distances, and a baseline. I hate when that shows up. C, reference points, angles, and distances. D, lot numbers, sections, and ranges. So essential elements of the meets and bounds system. So giving you time to answer your question, remember the number and the letter answer, the question number and the answer number. Okay, anybody taking a chance? Type in your answer. Is it A, B, C, or D? Nobody. Okay. Neelam says D. Not quite. Meet and bounds. Think of where things meet and where the boundaries are. Okay, so Susie and Neelam, it is not D. So take another chance. Here's where you can change your answer because you're not being graded. Okay, so the accurate answer is C, reference points, angles, and distances. So when a survey engineer is doing the survey, they're going to start at a particular point. That is their reference point. And then they follow angles and distances to another point of the property. And then they put a marker on each point on the property, each corner or each curve, wherever it is. If it's a rectangular property, then it's going to have 4 corners, right? So a meets and bounds description, identifies the boundaries of a parcel of real estate using reference points, distances, and angles, because not all properties are rectangular, right? Some of them have curves. And the description always identifies an enclosed area. So that is the property lot, okay? I have to make sure I'm in front of the camera. And enclosed area, right? Because that is the lot. That's a property where the home is going to be, all the improvements, all the utilities are going to be within that boundary. Starting at an original point, that's the marker, okay? At one corner. And usually at the frontage road, so in the front line, which is the frontage area, which faces the road. And then called point of beginning. That is the point of beginning, and they go all the way around the property and come back to that point of beginning, POB, and returning to that point at the end of the description. So that's what meets and bounds is. So a surveyor will provide the survey, the drawing of the property with all the improvements on it, all the utilities, fences, anything that trespasses from it, from the neighbor. And if there's a well, if there's a septic, and then they'll put the reference point, the angles and distances from each point. So the answer is 322B. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you were a little bit off. You talked about, let's see, first lot number, sections, and ranges. Okay, that is on the legal description. The legal description will talk about lots, lot numbers, sections, and ranges. But the meets and bounds is reference points of how the surveyor measures, okay, the property boundaries, how they identify. And some of them use, scopes, okay, to determine the level of the property, when they need to do that for insurance to make sure it's not in a flood area, or how low or how high it is to make sure it doesn't reach the flood level. So meets and bounds for surveys are reference point that starts at a particular point and then goes to all the corners and comes back to that point. So it could have angles and its distances. Is it feet, yards, meters, depending on what type of unit they're using. So when you have meridians and baselines, that's talking about townships. So that's a much broader area when they have, and I could show you that, but then it'll take me off to another tangent. Okay, number 23. Oh, let me post it on the other one. What was the answer? C. Okay. So 322 was C, is C. That's okay, Susie, you have to drop off. I'll be watching the replay. Great. It's either on YouTube. And if you go to YouTube, hey, you all, please send me some love and subscribe to my channel, like the video, and click the little bell so that you get alerts whenever I post a new video or I go live. Okay. And I go live typically Wednesdays and Saturdays unless something comes up. All right. Number 23. Let me see if I can make this a little bit larger by making the okay, there we go. Number 23, in the rectangular survey system, a range is the area in between what? A, any row of section in a township. B, 2 consecutive meridians. C, a principal meridian and a baseline. D, a parallel and a meridian. So a rectangular survey is used a lot when there's a lot of acreage. And the acreage, the rectangular survey has a township. That township has 36 sections. So that township will have a meridian. It'll have a baseline. The principal meridian will be vertical in the middle of it, and the baseline, or somewhere around it, and the baseline will be in the middle of the bases. And so that section or township is divided into quarters and quarters and quarters until it breaks it down to find out the exact location of where a property particularly is from the legal description and from the survey. So instead of saying lot and block, it'll have the baseline, the meridian, the township. And let me see if I can see a drawing that I may have. And I can show you real quick. And so the easiest and quickest way is to Google it. So that you can understand what I am talking about, rectangular survey. Okay, so a rectangular survey system will look like this. So a township is 36 sections. As you see here, it starts from the right side, east, 1 through 6, and then 7 through 12, back and forth until it gets to 36. Each one of these sections within a whole township, and that could be a little town. Back then they called it villages and townships, and then cities, right? In the cities, we have lot and block. In these little townships, these were lots of acreage. Each of these sections is 1 acre by 1 mile by 1 mile. So it's 1 square mile. So a whole township will be 1 mile here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles by 6 miles, 36 miles square. So as you see on the bottom, it says 6 miles. Each of these sections is 1 mile. Okay. And each of these 36 sections is called a township. You have your baseline right in the middle and the principal meridian going north and south. And as you see, it's divided into 4 quarters: the northwest quarter, northeast quarter, southeast quarter, and southwest quarter. It gets real complicated, okay? And then they start dividing. So the description of this can go like it says here. The land description for the brown, let me see if I can enlarge that. So it doesn't make it very large. Okay, the land description for the Brown property parcel on the right would be written as northeast 1/4. So it's on the northeast 1/4 of the whole township. Okay, to then the northwest 1/4. So in the northeast 1/4, okay, then they're going to go to the northwest. So then they split that into 4 and they go to the northwest quarter. So here's what they did. So they've got one section. And so this was a section. You see here, they picked this section here. Well, let's say section 14. Okay. So that's in the northeast section up here. And then they divide that section into quarters. And they said, okay, well, it's the northeast quarter section of the northwest. So in this quarter, again, you have northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. So they break it in 4 quarters. And then it says, again, so that was in section 14. Okay. And then they'll break it down some more. And, but I can't see with that number there. And so it'll keep going until they find the exact spot within this quarter of section 14. So you have the whole township and it labels it T2S. Okay. And then T2S R3 West. And then it brings it to a smaller picture, section 3. So this is the whole township, and it says section 14 right here. So you may or may not have one of these on the exam. So it's really confusing. It's really challenging to do one of these. That's all I can say. All right. I'm a numbers person and I like calculating this. When I took my exam in Oregon, I had to calculate it. Okay. To find out where exactly in this section was the acreage that they were identifying, the legal description, the land description of that individual's property. So in some of these areas, people have, 5 acres, 10 acres, 15, 20 acres. So where in that township is it exactly located? So that's the rectangular system, okay, of surveying of where exactly the property. This township is 640 acres. I wish it didn't, well, it's going to eliminate that. Okay, so let me bring the picture back. Let me see if this one says it does it any, it's not very big. Let's see, is there a bigger one? Can't seem to show you a very good large one that you can see, but you can Google it and look up rectangular survey system. So you have townships, the T, and the range. That each township is identified by its unique relationship of north, south, and east and west to the baseline, right? And this is the baseline. Okay, like a baseball base, okay? Or when you're standing on the ground, that's the base. And the vertical line is the meridian, okay? The principal meridian. And from there, they divide it into quarters and they keep dividing each quarter into more quarters and more quarters until they find the actual piece of land. So that's all I'm going to go into. That's a lot. It's a very challenging system to understand. So in the rectangular system, a range is the area in between what? A, any row of sections in a township. So remember, I just talked about range and township. B, 2 consecutive meridians. C, the principal meridian and a baseline. D, a parallel and a meridian. So a range is the area in between what? So let me go back to the picture. So let's see if there's anything that explains it here any better. Probably not. Okay, so remember, this is the principal meridian. This is the baseline. This whole thing is the township. And each of these boxes is a section. So, like this one here, Township 2 South, Range 3 West. So it said that was number 14 of Township 2. So this is this township here on the south side, and the range is 3 West, right? So you start from the meridian, 1, 2, 3. The range is 3 West. So what's the range from the principal meridian? So this particular township grid has a lot of townships. This one little township is the one that is 36 square miles, 6 by 6. This whole grid, as you see here, is 24 miles wide. Why? Because each of these townships, each of these squares here is 6 miles wide, 6 miles tall. So then they took this particular township and created the one township and divided it into the 36 sections. And from that section, they selected section, from that township, they selected section 14. So this is a huge overall, like the umbrella. And then they pick a section from the umbrella and make it here into 36 sections. And then from there, they pick one section and break it down here to divide it again. So Township 2, Range 3 West, Section 14. And then from Section 14, as you labeled here, they selected the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter. So this is, so you call it backwards. So first you say northwest quarter. So this is northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. So the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter. So they take the northwest quarter and they break it in 4 quarters again and call it the northeast. It's confusing, okay? So I may have lost you. So now going back. In the rectangular system, a range is the area in between what? Any row of sections in a township, 2 consecutive meridians, a principal meridian and a baseline, or D, a parallel and a meridian. So remember, what is the meridian? What is the township? So anybody taking a risk on this one? Oh. Oops. This is a tricky one, okay? Okay, I'll read the answer on this one. Okay, the answer for this is 323B, 2 consecutive meridians. So the answer is described as, 2 consecutive common meridians. The vertical area between consecutive meridians is called a range. So if we go to the drawing, okay, so this was a huge area, okay, a congressional township. So you have meridian lines going vertical, okay, and the baselines going horizontal. So each of these areas has a baseline and a meridian going vertical that takes you to the actual township out of this whole section, the township grid. So the vertical area between consecutive meridians Okay, consecutive meridians. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going east and west. Between consecutive is called a range. So from this meridian to this meridian, it's a range from 0 to 1, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4. Okay, so that's a range. So if you're out, if you're quoting somebody a price and you're giving them a comparable, you say, okay, the property could be from range 400,000 to 500,000. That's considered a range, right? From one point to another point. That is a range. And then all ranges are 6 miles wide. So each of these townships, okay, the range. So this is a range 6 miles wide. This township was taken from this big township grid, which is here, Township 2, okay, because they're going from the baseline. From the baseline, it's 1, 2, going south. From the meridian, they went 1, 2, 3 meridians. So range 3. So that's the distance from the meridian, range 1, range 2, range 3. And this is the range. It's 6 miles wide. Each of these little squares here is 6 miles wide. So it's taken here and you see it 6 miles wide. So each of these sections is 1 mile by 1 mile, which makes it 1 mile square. The whole township of 36 sections is 36 miles square, 36 square miles, excuse me. In the township grid, the whole congressional township, each quarter of the township grid is 24 miles because it's 4 squares. It's 4 of these township squares. So when you're going from the baseline, you're counting 1, 2, 3. So it's Township 2 south, and the range go west and east. So Township 3 west, right? It's going west. So they pick Township 2 south from the baseline. If it had been Township 2 north, like this one here says Township 3 north. So from the baseline, it's going 1 township, 2 townships, 3 townships. From the meridian, it's going range 1, range 2, and it's going west. Okay, so the direction, whether it's north or south, goes from the baseline and from the principal meridian. The principal meridian is in the middle. So when you move left and right, it's range. Going up and north and south is township number. Okay. So that's why it says 2 consecutive meridians. A range is the area in 2 consecutive meridians. Did you get that? So I said the range is from the meridian. So this is 1 range, this is 2 range. So from the meridian, it's between 2, the range is between 2 meridians. Okay, enough of that. Whew. And they have to be consecutive, one next to each other. Okay. So a range cannot be the principal meridian and the base. That's the base and the meridian from the whole huge congressional township. A parallel and a meridian, well, the meridian is vertical and something next to it would be parallel. 2 rows of sections in a township. So 2 rows are from the baseline, right? And they go to a township, not a section. Oh, I thought range and meridian between 2 meridians. Yes, consecutive meridians, Neelam. Okay, from 2 consecutive meridians. like I said, you may or may not have a question. However, it's like when we go to school, we go to college, do we use everything that we learn? No. Left to right is range. That's correct. North to south is township numbers. That is correct. Then range from meridians, between two meridians. Yes, two consecutive meridians. Got it. All right. Okay, good. So I read those comments. Very good. Okay, number 24. Again, rectangular systems. In the rectangular survey system, a tier is defined by A, 6 consecutive sections of a township, B, 2 consecutive meridians, C, 2 consecutive parallels, D, a parallel and a meridian. What is a tier? I didn't see them talking about tiers. So I'll just explain this one according to the answer. So the rectangular, a tier, it's like going from one level to another, right? So a tier is the horizontal area between two parallels. So let's go back to the drawing. Let me see, can I enlarge this? Let's see here. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oops. Let me see if I can find a better one. Well, this talks about range, goes east and west, township. Okay, so township or tier values. Okay, so here it mentions tiers. Township going north and south, right? Or tier values. So the answer says the horizontal area between two parallels. So two parallels, right, is the line going up and south. North and south is parallel to the other meridian. If it's going east and west, the other line is a parallel line. So the horizontal area between two parallels is called a tier. So the township goes north and south. So this is parallel line. This line here, okay, baseline is parallel to this line. So it's going from this tier here to that tier there. So it's the distance, the area between two parallels is called a tier or a township strip. All this strip here has 6 miles. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It's 6 different. Okay. This is not the township. So down here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They grabbed township 2 south, range 2 west. They grabbed that one, enlarged it. So each of these, this whole yellow is a township. And each of these is a section. So the answer says the horizontal area between two parallels, the horizontal area, horizontal is going east and west. So the area here between this parallel is called a tier. So this is a tier where my mouth is going left and right. That is a tier. Or a township strip. So it's the whole large congressional township, not just one particular township, is the township strip. And then a tier is identified by its relationship to the base parallel. The base parallel, I see it right there, baseline, is in the middle, which in the other drawing, you could see it better. Where's the other drawing? On this drawing, right, they had the baseline here and the principal meridian, and they have it divided in quarters. So a tier is identified by its relationship to the baseline. So the tier goes in relationship to the baseline and it has to be parallel. So if you go to the top line parallel to it, this is one tier. So you're going like one step higher. Tier 2 is 2 steps higher. Tier 3, 1, 2, 3, is 3 steps higher. And that's going up Township 1, Township 2, Township 3. When you're going north or south in tier from the baseline, you're going 1 tier, 2 tiers, 3 tiers. Okay, so that's the big public land survey, a big area. When they take this 1 square here from the township grid, it is one particular township of 36 square miles. Why? Because it has 36 squares in it, 36 sections. So on there, you could see the baseline better. Let's see. Oh, here's this one. See how you see T1 north, range 1 east. So the range go east and west. The townships go north and south. So the section is from the baseline to the next parallel line. That'll be tier 1. So this one only has 2 tiers, right? Tier 1 and tier 2. And range 1 and range 2 going east and west. And so the tier starts from the baseline. So that's here it says the 3rd principal meridian. So they're taking it from a bigger area. Okay, so each township, so this is what I was saying here. Each township has 36 sections. You see it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going back to 12, then left. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you start on the right again. It goes like a zigzag, okay, until you end up to 36. And each of these sections, one of these sections is 1 mile by 1 mile, because the whole section is 6 miles wide, 6 miles deep, therefore 36 square miles. But the big one that we looked at, okay, is 24 miles on one side, 24 miles on the other. That's when they're talking about the meridian and the baseline. So look at this, and it's in one of your books, but look it up on Google. Much easier to find out what it means through Google. And there are videos that will explain it. I wouldn't focus a lot of time on it because you may or may not have, a question on it. So the answer here was 2 consecutive parallels, right? Oops, write the correct letter, Lily. It's 324C. Oops, I put CX. Excuse me. See, can I edit that? No, it won't let me edit from there. So the answer is 324C, not CX. All right. We'll do one more here. Again, rectangular systems. So you're getting a lot about rectangular systems tonight. Number 25, in the rectangular survey system, what are the dimensions of a township? Okay, you should know that because I have repeated it and repeated it and repeated it. A, 1 square mile. B, 6 miles by 6 miles or 6 miles square. C, 36 miles square. Or D, the north and south boundaries are 1 mile apart. The east and west boundaries are indeterminate. All right, Neela. No, you're correct. Well, it says, what are the dimensions of a township? So the dimensions is you're looking at a length, not the square footage. Okay, so you were right the first time. It's 6 miles. The rectangle, the dimension. So the dimensions of a square, of a rectangle. Okay, let me get an easier one to look at. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a township, this yellow one, 36 sections. So it's 6 miles wide and 6 miles deep. Those are the dimensions. So it's 6 by 6. The area is 36 miles square, 36 square miles. But the dimensions is what's the length of it? What's the height of it? Base times height. That's the dimensions. So if you're in your bedroom or in your house, you have a wall, that's the height, and you have the floor, and then you figure out the width. So it's base times height. All right, so that is a dimension. Okay, how tall are you? That's a dimension, not how many pounds are you. Okay, how big is your waist? How round is your hip? Okay, how long is your arm? That's a dimension. So your first answer was correct, 6 by 6 miles, or 6 miles square. Okay, so it's 6 miles by 6 miles. Okay, so the answer is B. So let's see how the answer explains it. A township is the area enclosed by the intersection of 2 consecutive meridians. Okay, so in the big here, by 2 consecutive meridians, right? Meridian 1, baseline 1, meridian 1, meridian 2, right? So it's a township is between 2 meridians, north and south, 2 consecutive meridians, pardon me. Okay. And 2 consecutive parallels, 2 consecutive parallel 1, parallel 2. So it's a tier. Okay. A tier between parallel 1, parallel 2. So a township is between 2 consecutive meridians going north and south, and between 2 parallels. Okay, it's one tier. Okay, between 2 parallels, and the meridians are 6 miles apart. Okay, so the meridian from meridian 1 to meridian 2, it's 6 miles. From tier 1 to tier 2, it is 6 miles. So from parallel 1 to parallel 2, it is 6 miles. From this point to this point, 6 miles. So that's this square here, 6 miles down. And if you read across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 miles across, because each of these squares is 1 mile by 1 mile. The whole township, 6 miles times 6 miles. Its area is therefore 36 square miles. Remember to differentiate square miles from miles square. 4 square miles is a measure of area. 2 miles times 2 miles. 4 miles square is a representation of the sides of a square. So it's 6 miles square. It's saying it's 6 miles. It's a square with 6 miles on each side. When it says 4 square miles, or it would be 2 times 2. This would be 36 square miles. That's the area. 6 times 6 equals 36. That's not what they asked for. They asked, what are the dimensions of a township? Well, it's 6 miles wide and 6 miles deep. So that is the answer, 6 miles by 6 miles, or 6 miles square. It's a square with each side being 6 miles. Okay. Math is straightforward, but tricky for those who do not like math. So very good, Neelam. So 325 is B. Oh, did I post? So 324 was C. So now 325 is B. This is a good section because this takes a lot of understanding. Okay, so here's a math problem, and we'll end with this one. 326, what portion of a section, oh my gosh, is 10 acres? Oh my gosh, this is where on this square here, you take the green one, okay, and then you're having to cut it up in quarters and then quarters. This whole township is 640 acres, okay? So there's 320 on the top, 320 on the bottom. So if you divide the top in half, you have what? 160. So each quarter is 160 acres. 160 on the northwest quarter. Let me see a better picture here. This one here. Oh man, it's not very big. Hold on. Oh, it's a video. No, I don't want a video. I want to show you a diagram. Let me see here. Okay, so on this picture, no, that's not it either. I need one that's 36. That's not good. Where they divide it into quarters. Okay, this one. Okay, so here is a section and they divide it into quarters. So the whole township, the whole section here is 640 acres. You see here, townships were further divided into sections of 1 square mile. So this 1 square mile, it's 1 mile by 1 mile taken out of this township, right, of 36 sections. So it is a whole 640. So you divide it by 4, right? So you have 320 on top, 320 on top. So then it's 160 on the northwest corner of that section, 160 up here, 160 on the southwest, 160 in the southeast. And then they divide that 1 quarter again into 4. So they divide that 160 into 4 quarters. And so then you have 40, 40, 40, 40. So now they divide it again into halves and quarters. So from one of these quarters of 40, they divide it into 4 again. And so each of that 4 is 10. And so they don't break it down to where they're going to show 10, but they keep breaking one of these quarters into more quarters and more quarter. It's always cut down in a quarter. So the question asks, what portion of a section is 10 acres? So if you have a whole township, okay, of 640 acres, how many times are you dividing it in order to get to 10 acres? So 4 quarters, 4, 8, 16, 24, right? There's 8 quarters there. And then you have to divide it again into 4. So you're breaking it down, breaking it down, breaking it down. So is it 164 132 in order to find 10 acres. This is a real tricky one, okay? So you're basically having to say 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4, and you multiply. So let's go to the drawing again. So they're saying 1/4 of the whole square. Okay, 1/4 of the section times 1/4 of the northeast times 1/4 of the northeast. So it's 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4. And the upper fraction is 1, and you multiply the bottom. 4 times 4, 16, times 4 is 64, right? So they divided it 1 time, 2 times, and then again another time. That's 3 times. 1/4 is one of these quarters, okay? Times 1/4 of that is 4 quarters, and times 1/4 of that. So it has to be divided 3 times in order to get to 10 acres. So 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4 gives you 164. Got it? Crazy, huh? Hope you don't get that one. So the size of an acre of a subsection of a township is a fraction of 640 acres, as I mentioned. Since there are 640 acres in a section, thus 10 acres is 10 divided by 640, or 1/64 of a section. So the answer is 1/64. So they're trying to find out what section is it of 10 acres. So they're taking 10 acres divided by 640 and reduce it, since they're even numbers, divided by 10. You divide the top by 10, you get 1. Divide the 640 by 10, you get 64. That's the easy way of solving it. So anybody get that? I would have had to study it in order to get it, because I haven't practiced that since I was in Oregon. I used to be a realtor in Oregon. Okay, come on, answer. So the answer to 26. There, you got it, Neelam. That's right. 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4, right? That's the way to do it. And you multiply the bottom, right? 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. And 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So it's 1/64. And they did it, differently. They just said, okay, you're looking for 10 acres within a whole township of 640 acres. So what is that fraction? 10 divided by 640 narrows down, reduces down to 1/64. That's how they did it in the answer. So that's one of the reasons I like this book, is because it explains the answers and you don't have to go and research it. I went and researched it so that you could maybe understand it, but I could have made it confusing, but it is a confusing topic. Okay. So we're at the hour of 7. We went a whole hour just to discuss this rectangular system, but I hope that it helped you understand this crazy rectangular system that is used in certain states or areas where there's a lot of land. So instead of using the meets and bounds where you have lot and block within a city, then they use the rectangular system where there's a lot of acreage and you have townships like this, not like in major metropolitan cities. It's more recognized in, I'm trying to see what areas use rectangular, but I know it's for major land, okay, for acreage. And we used it a lot in Oregon. I have not used it here in Texas. Okay, so thank you for attending the class. And so remember to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel. Send me some love for attending this class and helping you learn the topics for your real estate exam nationally. You're very welcome, Neelan. I was not expecting any questions on this. This was great. You're very welcome. Yeah, it's very intense. I attended a course last night for 2 hours. Very interesting about YouTube, because I've got 2 YouTube channels and it's a lot of work. YouTube is for learning. Okay. And that's why I created this YouTube channel. I used to learn from Prep Agent, or some of my students used to, because there's another gentleman, Joe Juder from Prep Agents, that I used to use. And he's been doing YouTube videos for like 7 years now. His is awesome. He does have a Facebook page that you can like, and then he'll give you a discount to buy the material for a particular state. It's a prep class, but he does a lot of the free ones on his YouTube channel, and those are predominantly national and vocabulary. On my channel, then I'm focused on Texas, in addition to national and also vocabulary. I will emphasize you must learn your vocabulary, study vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. So anyway, so remember to visit my YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, send me some love, like the channel, click the little bell so that you get alerts when I post another video. Eventually, I'm going to be posting videos for realtors that are getting started in the real estate business or continuing to grow their business, since I've been in the real estate business and investing in real estate for quite a few years. And so I also want to share. Thank you so much, Neelan. I appreciate it. And you can also watch these videos. Now, I have resources on the Facebook page. Let me show you. I don't have them on YouTube. I have them on the Facebook page, Agent Prep on Facebook group, that you applied to get accepted. And that's how you ended up attending here, unless you were on YouTube. And I'll show you where the resources. Now, this book that we use tonight is not in there. Again, I cannot post it because of the copyright laws. But on our YouTube, on our Facebook group, Agent Prep, Real Estate Exam Prep Group. It's a private group. And under guides, I uploaded a lot of material that you can use to study. So as soon as it catches up with me with my clicking, I don't know why it's not responding. Come on. Okay, there we go. A little bit slow in responding. Must be a lot of people are on the internet right now. Oops, there. Okay, so under the guides, I uploaded a lot of documents. So the first one I'm talking about, because I am with eXp Realty, and so eventually you're going to be selecting a broker, a sponsor. So you want to go ahead and evaluate eXp. And so you can come in here and learn a little bit about eXp, all our benefits. But under guide number 2, I have vocabulary, different vocabulary lists. And then one of the favorite books that a lot of my students love, and it helps them a lot because it has 4 exams, more than this book that we were on tonight. And it has also answers. It has vocabulary. It has math review. It's an excellent book from 2006. Some of the state questions are outdated. The national vocabulary are excellent. Even the state questions are excellent. Then I have cheat sheets, acronyms, other national exams, property ownership, math review, estates, fair housing. So a lot of resources on here that I have pulled from other areas on Google or other training websites that you can access to prepare for your exam. There's a lot of free material online that you can access. So save your money for when you join your MLS Okay, you pass your exam because it's going to cost you a lot of money. And especially starting in January, we all, to be realtors, we have to pay for national, state, and local fees. And that comes up to about 405 or 400 and some odd dollars per year. For us in Texas, it's about 405. The national and state are the same pretty much for everybody, I think, but your local board has different fees. So save your money for joining your local MLS board, your state board, your your state association, and the National Association of Realtors. That's what designates you as a realtor, a more professional, educated realtor. You're not just an agent. You're licensed and you belong to organizations that stand up for us and nationally and statewide, whatever state you might be. Okay, whenever you have any questions, you can post it here on Facebook or send me a message on Messenger and I'll reply to you, or also on YouTube. All these videos are recorded and they'll be in one of those. You're very welcome, Neelam. I appreciate you attending and I'm glad you participated, because this is where you can get feedback on your answer, and don't be embarrassed to answer because you'll find out what the correct answer is. It's better to have a tutor that's going to help you pass than try to do it all on your own. Okay? Look for resources that you can study. Find what's out there that's free. And save your money for when you need to join, finally, a sponsor broker. And I look forward to you evaluating me at EXP. You can talk to me about that. So with that said, hey, you all have an awesome night. Until next time, catch you later. Next one's on Saturday, 9 o'clock.